they got another degree was not urgent.
They'll talk a little bit about what they're doing now, and really this should be a conversation about what you guys are interested in as well.
I'm an English teacher at a high school, Wooten High School in Montgomery County. I teach 9th grade and 12th grade AP Lit. I've been doing that for 8 years now. I'm on a couple of county committees, and a couple of leadership councils within the school. I play rugby outside of school. I double majored in Lit and secondary ed, and I knew that walking into AU. I knew that in like 7th grade that I wanted to teach. It seemed like a pretty good lifestyle, work-life balance, get to read and talk about books professionally. And that's been right. It's way more work than my 7th grade self would have known, but I really love it. If anybody is anybody thinking about going into teaching? Okay, all right, awesome. I love it. I mean, it's a great experience. You learn a lot about yourself, and you get to, anytime you want to force yourself to really know a new book, you just say, I'm teaching that. How I got the job, I guess, what to do to turn a Lit degree into teaching. Do some things that aren't just the coursework. One of the first questions I was asked in interviews was, what have you done outside of your coursework that has prepared you for this position? And I worked in the writing center here, I TA'd for Middens and a couple other professors, I volunteered for DC Reads. All of that kind of stuff was really, I think, a big message, I guess, if I could give to everybody in the marketplace. It's way competitive now, and everybody has a degree, so it's a matter of having a resume on top of that degree, and I think that was something I definitely got here at AU. So look to fill in the blanks, not just your coursework, but get some relatable experience in that field, even if it's just tangential.
Hi, my name is Rachel Tardif. I'm a senior director at Fitzgibbon Media, which is a political communications consulting firm. We work exclusively with advocacy, progressive advocacy groups, mostly nonprofits, some issue campaigns. I kind of do everything. I came on as a media relations strategist, so basically it was my job to call reporters and harass them. Sorry, Dan. I don't do that as much anymore. I was lucky enough to find a really small firm that was willing to let me really develop my own skills and kind of job description. So now I do a lot more strategic communications planning. I do a lot more digital work. I write every day, whether it's email campaigns to raise money for an organization looking to end or stop the Keystone Pipeline, to something like a report for major funders, which is really exciting. How I got there, I met somebody in college who, towards the tail end of college, who was impressed that I was able to handle myself, just in general, which I credit to Lit.
My name's Ashley. I'm a development coordinator at the National Kidney Foundation, which is a nonprofit health advocacy organization that focuses on kidney health and issues related to kidney disease. There's a really high rate of kidney disease in Washington, D.C., which I did not know before starting this job. So they do a lot of advocacy surrounding that and the causes of kidney disease, like diabetes and high blood pressure. I came to that kind of in a roundabout way. When I graduated high school, I did not know what I wanted to major in or what I wanted to do for a career. In 4 years at AU, I never figured out what I wanted to do for a career. Unlike everyone else, I didn't do any internships because all of the ones that interested me were unpaid, and my family was in kind of a crappy financial situation, and I felt bad not being able to do something that was at least somewhat paying my way. So I TA'd for Middens, which does pay. Yeah, so I worked at the UPS store in the tunnel. I was a manager for a couple years. You laugh. It was an awesome job. It's probably the best job I'll ever have. After college, I moved up to New York with my boyfriend, who was working in journalism. There I worked for a college counseling company. It was education consulting. And the work wasn't that bad, but it was very for-profit minded, and it kind of just exploited the really broken mission system that exists in higher education. So I left that job. I worked at a wedding invitation store as a manager for a little over a year, and then I decided to move back to DC because I really couldn't afford living in Manhattan anymore. And I did a lot of soul searching about what I wanted to do, and I ended up making a Venn diagram of things I was interested in and things that were remotely marketable. And one of them was health. I've always been interested in health advocacy, promoting, not to sound like a health nut or a fitness freak, but trying to encourage people to live the best life that they can and really maximize their longevity, have a high quality of life when you're able to, and be educated about all of the ways you can improve your own health. So I found this job on Idealist, and I enjoy it, and I've been doing it for 5 months. Fingers crossed. When I actually applied for my first job out of college, they told me that they were targeting people my age, so like a lot of 22-year-olds fresh out the gate. And something they were doing was they were giving the interviewees their cover letters back and telling them to correct the errors. And one of the reasons they liked mine was because there were no errors. The bar is set so low.
Hi everybody, I'm Michelle, so I work for College Summit in case you forget. I've got my water bottle here as an advertisement. So I left AU with a lit degree, and I didn't double major. I had a minor in gender studies. So I had taken these courses, had no clue what I wanted to do. But while I was here, I had a number of jobs. So I did work study, and I did some DC reads the first year, and then actually helped to start a program and run a nonprofit with some of my friends. So that became something I did on the side while I was at AU, and that was really rewarding. We tutored and mentored kids in Southeast in this particular neighborhood. And I got really into that. So I did that on the side while I was studying, and I did do an internship. I studied abroad in London, and I worked for a nonprofit there. So in some sense, I had these kind of parallel worlds going on for me while I was here. I also worked in the photo lab for a year, and I worked at a bookstore for all 4 years. So I tended to have two or three jobs at any point, which was a little insane, and I don't recommend doing. But so I had kind of experience working in nonprofits, mostly hands-on with kids, and I really liked it, but it also burnt me out. And so when I was graduating, I thought, I think I'm passionate about education. I think I'm passionate about working with young people, but I kind of want to go somewhere that's a little bit more established, that I'm not starting up, where I can learn from others. And I heard about College Summit, actually got a job as a development associate, so a little different, but similar fundraising kind of role, a lot of grant writing. I actually used an essay from Shaw's Victorian Lit class. No joke. Wow. To get the job. And they said, do you have a writing sample? And I said, well, yeah, it has nothing to do with grants, but I have something. So I sent them this, and they were like, okay, she can write. And I was hired.
My name's Dan. I'm a reporter for the Washington Post. I'm what they call a general assignment reporter, which means I don't have a beat or a topic or a special interest. So I write about anything, really, you name it. And I've been there for, it'll be 9 years in June. I've kind of always written for newspapers. It's never something I remember choosing. There was a weekly teen section of the Buffalo News. I'm from Buffalo. Then I started writing for at 15. I never stopped writing for newspapers. I came here and I wrote for the Eagle. In fact, I spent most of my time at the Eagle. Right out of the gate, I had a couple internships lined up after school, one of which was a summer internship at the Post back in the summer of 2005, back before the entire industry started to really collapse. So I kind of slid in right under the gate. They hired me off the internship. They hired most of my intern class out of the internship. And I've seen no reason to leave at this point, and it'll have been 9 years this June. So yeah, I keep doing it because it's super interesting. It involves a lot of reading and a lot of writing, which is what being a literature major involves, right? You still do reading and writing? Yeah.
I like to say that all of my marketable skills I learned through my lit major. Being able to read and process information quickly and thoroughly, being able to write quickly and comprehensively and cogently, like really important, and just a general like analytical eye is really important. So like I work on mostly political things, and there are definitely people at my firm who are, you know, your typical public affairs majors, but I mean, there's a lot that you can kind of just pick up from being cognizant of what's going on around you in this town. So I would definitely say that like that's the most marketable thing. It's just like being able to ultimately express yourself and what you think and believe, and do that for a variety of audiences and across a bunch of different mediums.
The cocktail party value of being a literature major, like, this is gonna sound very pompous, but we're just more interesting in a group setting, in a one-on-one setting. I mean, no one wants to go to a party. I'm really gonna offend someone that's probably just lurking here, but like to talk to a lawyer or an accountant. Like I think, like, because they're transactional jobs, and yes, they require expertise and a level of smartness that I've never attained, but I think there's something to that, and that's the indispensable perpetual value of a literature degree, is that it celebrates and it promotes nuance in a world that is quickly marginalizing nuance for stuff that's totally practical or totally efficient or totally automatic or whatever. So I think, I don't know, that's on the list of things and the value of my literature degree, I would put the cocktail party thing first. Because that is, and I don't mean that as in jest or anything. I think that's super valuable toward interacting with other people. I don't know, am I crazy?
It applied everywhere. You know, when I graduated, I wanted to teach in the city because that's where I did my student teaching, and I worked with some nonprofits in the DC area. But then I didn't get any good bites from a job that sounded good, and I ended, I just find all apply in the suburbs, and I get lucked out. I love where I work. I didn't think I would, and you know, it's worked out. So I'll send out the resume, apply to everything, go to the interviews, if only for the experience of having that conversation. It's one run under the belt. It's one where it's like, well, that's not what I want. And don't be afraid, you know, to don't settle for odd job. I guess there comes a point where it's like, I need to pay the bills, but you know, when you're looking for your career, there's a job and a career, and that's the thing you heard from a couple of people. You bounce from job to job to job. I mean, I think I might be the last one, you know, where it's like, I'll probably have the same job from day one to day of retirement. You know, that doesn't happen anymore. It's okay, good to have many experiences that get you the weird story, that introduce you to the guy who works down the hall or whose office it happens to be in the same building. You know, just get out there, go swing. Just get out there, go swing.
And also keep in mind, I think, if for some reason you don't get the job that you want right out of college, it takes you years to get a job that you want. I think, and maybe this is a stretch in logic, but I think being a literature major shows you that life, there's much to life, and there's much to life beyond work. And so if you find yourself having to do a job that you don't want to do, I think there is a general interest, an authority in general interests that you get as a literature major that I think can allow you to look at life from different angles. And maybe I'm getting a little existential here, but I think I'm just trying to, you know, if you don't wind up as the job you want right out of college, it's okay. Find what interests you, and sometimes what interests you is what you do after work. And sometimes that's okay for a year or 2 or 5, you know, so don't sweat it. Easy for me to say because I have a job, I guess. But I'll say this, so Dan.